No one saw it coming. The loudest moment of Gala Night 2026 came from a father standing silently in the shadows. The moment Alysa Liu appeared, the world stopped. Cameras swiveled. Reporters went dead silent in mid-sentence. Even the A-list stars already inside couldn't help but turn back toward the grand entrance. Standing there with a beaming smile was the man who had witnessed this journey since day one, Alysa Liu's father. Carpet lights danced off the silver details of Alyssa's gown as she moved with a level of poise that takes a lifetime to master. But the real magic wasn't the designer dress, the flashing bulbs, or the roaring crowd reaction. It was her father's look pure pride as he relived every sacrifice, every grueling morning, and every risk that led them to this second. For years, the world knew Alysa Liu as the fearless skating phenom, a teenager shattering records before most athletes even learned to handle the heat. Gala Night 2026 revealed a much deeper layer to her famous story. Beyond the athlete and the superstar was simply a daughter, and the internet caught on instantly. As Alysa paused on the staircase, a wave of photographers started screaming her name from every single angle. Alysa! Alysa! Look here! But while she played to the lenses, her focus suddenly drifted. She scanned past the crowd for her father. Then she did something nobody expected. She pointed right at him. Not at the press, not at the stylists, at her dad. Nearby witnesses say she laughed and yelled, "He is the reason I am even here." That one sentence went viral in minutes because fans didn't just see a star giving a shout-out to her parent. They saw a rare, human connection on a night usually defined by fake smiles and robotic answers. Alyssa's reaction was raw, totally genuine, and that is exactly why the clip caught fire. One major fashion page shared the video with a simple caption, "Forget the dress, watch her dad." Within an hour, millions had seen it. But the real weight of that moment came from the journey behind it. Alysa Liu's rise was never easy. From the start, her career carried a heavy burden of expectation and pressure. Fame hit early. Records tumbled. The headlines were constant and unforgiving. Every competition felt massive. While fans cheered for the gold medals, very few understood the crushing weight she carried behind closed doors. But her father saw it. He lived it too. The brutal training, the hidden injuries, the loneliness of early fame, and the endless online noise. He watched her navigate all of it. Through the chaos, he stayed in the shadows while Alysa kept pushing toward her ultimate goal. That is why Gala Night felt different. This wasn't about winning a medal. Scores didn't matter now. There were no judges here. Just a proud father watching his daughter own one of the world's biggest celebrity stages with total, unshakable confidence. Family friends said he was getting choked up long before Alysa even reached the red carpet. One witness noted he kept glancing at the entrance, looking just as nervous as she was. Not because he doubted her, but because he still saw the little girl who once dreamed impossible dreams. And honestly, that tiny detail changed the entire mood for fans online. People started digging up old clips of Alysa from years ago, grainy practice videos and early interviews where she looked so small next to the older athletes. Now, they were comparing those memories to the powerhouse at Gala Night. The growth was just staggering to see. One viral post said, "Imagine raising a world-class athlete and then watching her dominate a gala like this. I would be sobbing too." Another fan wrote, "You can see the pride on his face before she even knows he is watching her." Then came the moment that truly broke the internet. During a carpet interview, Alysa was asked a standard Hollywood question. Who are you most excited to see tonight? They expected her to name a designer or a movie star. Instead, she smiled and said, "Honestly, my dad's reaction." That one answer went nuclear because it shifted the entire narrative. It wasn't about glamour anymore. It was about family, sacrifice, and real gratitude. In a world of rehearsed lines, it was refreshing. Alyssa's words felt genuine in a way we rarely see anymore. Even the biggest gossip pages began sharing clips that focused on her father rather than her dress. People connected with it because it hit home. It reminded everyone of their own parents and their own struggles. That is how this went from celebrity gossip to a moment that truly mattered. Inside the gala, rumors flew about how teary-eyed her father got once Alysa wrapped up her very first round of interviews. A guest mentioned he stepped away for a moment, just needing to process the massive wave of attention his daughter was getting. It was not jealousy or nerves, it was pure pride. The look of a man realizing those grueling years were finally paying off. If you watch the viral footage closely, you can actually see that raw emotion for yourself. As Alysa worked the room and charmed the press, her father stood there in awe, watching her handle the spotlight like a pro. It is wild how people connected with her dad more than any of the A-list stars. Parents online really felt this. One father wrote, "You live for the day your child is this happy. That face says it all." Another added, "That is not about fame. It is about the journey." That is pride from knowing exactly what it took to get there. And they were absolutely right. Alysa Liu's path has been anything but easy. We love success stories when they look effortless and shiny. But the world of elite sports is heartless. The pressure can break young athletes long before they ever turn 20. Add global fame to that, it becomes a whole different beast. Somehow, Alysa handled that pressure while staying human. That is why the gala was a shock. She did not act like she was untouchable. She never looked down on anyone. Instead, she spent the night making sure her dad was right there by her side. According to insiders at the gala, she kept pulling him into the conversation, showing him off to celebrities, and even stopped multiple times to make sure photographers caught pictures of them as a team. That really matters because usually, fame pushes families into the background as soon as the cameras start flashing. Alysa was determined to do the opposite. At one point, a reporter jokingly asked her father if he was nervous seeing all the cameras following Alysa around. His answer went viral instantly. He just smiled and said, "I was more nervous watching her skate." That quote quickly became the most shared moment from the entire night. Not because it was flashy, but because it was real. And realness is hard to find these days. As more footage from the event dropped, fans started obsessing over the small interactions between the two. A quick look, a proud grin, or a simple nod. These tiny details suddenly became the emotional heart of the whole evening. Even the fashion crowd stopped talking about dresses and started focusing on Alysa's bond with her father. That almost never happens at these high-profile events. Usually, the hype dies in hours. But Alysa's story kept building because every new angle on social media revealed something even more moving than the last one. Then, another video surfaced. This was the one that changed everything. Just as Alysa was heading into the ballroom, she stopped in her tracks after hearing a voice call out from behind the barriers. She turned to find her dad trying to snap one last photo on his phone before she went inside. She walked straight back to her dad. Not to security, but right to her father. Witnesses watched her fix his camera settings herself, laughing and posing for the shot like the rest of the world did not even exist. That simple moment became one of the most replayed clips from Gala Night 2026. Despite all the luxury and the intense spotlight, she looked exactly like a daughter, making sure her dad got the perfect picture he was looking for. And honestly, that is the kind of thing that people really remember. Inside the gala ballroom, the energy shifted the second Alysa Liu walked in with her father by her side. The red carpet was emotional enough, but according to people inside the party, that was really just the beginning of the story. Once the noise of the crowd faded and the doors finally closed behind them, guests noticed something even more powerful. Alysa was not trying to distance herself from her dad at all. In the world of fame, events like this usually create invisible walls. The stars go one way, families fade into the background. Publicists manage the room. Security keeps every single interaction in its own little box. But Alysa spent the night breaking every unwritten rule, refusing to leave her father behind for the celebrity tables. She constantly slowed down to keep him close, and the other guests definitely took notice of it. One person there described it perfectly. Most celebrities enter a room to own it, but not Alysa. She entered like she wanted her father to experience every single moment together. Those stories went viral once insiders shared what happened behind closed doors because it didn't look like a stunt. It felt real. During the party, guests saw Alysa introducing her dad to stars and fashion icons. She looked genuinely thrilled to have him there, not just to pose for cameras. Most of these moments weren't even filmed. She just seemed proud to share her world with him, and that's what made people so emotional. You could tell their bond was genuine. One viral post said, "You can reach the top without forgetting who helped you get there." Alysa proved that tonight. Another wrote, "She didn't bring him as a guest. He was part of her success story." That line exploded online because deep down, we all know what it means. Success has a way of changing your relationships. Fame creates distance. The bigger a star gets, the harder it is for their family to even recognize them anymore. But at Gala Night 2026, it felt like Alysa was fighting that reality in real time. Then came another moment the guests in the ballroom could not stop talking about. During dinner, a host complimented Alysa on how gracefully she handled the massive pressure of being famous so young. It was that typical, polished celebrity talk. But before Alysa could even finish her answer, her father just looked at her and smiled. People say she immediately got emotional. No dramatic sobbing, just that sudden pause when feelings hit you hard. She looked away, took a breath, and laughed softly, saying, "He handled it, too." That sentence instantly shifted the mood at the table. Suddenly, people weren't just thinking about the pressure on Alysa anymore. They were considering exactly what it was like for her father watching his young daughter become a global icon while still growing up. Imagine that weight. Every competition torn apart online. Every single performance judged. Every mistake becomes a headline. Through it all, a parent tries to protect their child while helping them chase greatness. That's a brutal balance nobody talks about. But Gala Night somehow brought those hidden feelings right to the surface. As the night went on, more stars started approaching Alysa just to compliment the sweet relationship she has with her dad. One reporter even claimed guests admitted these moments felt more real than all the scripted celebrity interactions happening around the room. That says everything. Gala Night is built on spectacle, high fashion, and pure exclusivity. Yet somehow, the biggest headline was just a father watching his daughter succeed with pride. Honestly, the internet loved it. Those clips kept spreading like wildfire all night. One clip showed Alysa fixing her dad's collar before a photo. Another showed him smiling quietly during her interviews. But the clip that truly broke everyone happened later during the presentations, as the cameras panned across the celebrity guests. Alysa flashed briefly onto one of the giant venue screens. The crowd cheered, but while everyone else watched the screen, her father just looked directly at her. That small detail went viral. While the room admired the famous version of Alysa Liu, he was seeing his daughter. People felt that difference instantly. One comment with thousands of likes said, "The whole room saw a star. He saw his little girl." That one sentence basically defined the entire night. Meanwhile, fashion outlets released backstage footage of Alysa interacting with guests throughout the gala. But something else stood out in every video. She kept checking for her father. Not out of anxiety, but comfort, like his presence grounded her in the chaos. You can't fake that body language. Experts online even started analyzing the way they interacted together. People noticed how Alysa naturally turned toward him during chats, or looked for his reaction after big moments. Others saw how relaxed her father looked once he realized his daughter truly belonged there. And honestly, that confidence was really the most emotional part. Parents spend years worrying if their kids will survive such tough environments. Fame can destroy people. Yet at Gala Night, Alysa looked completely secure in who she is. Not arrogant, just secure. And judging by his face all night, her father definitely saw it too. That's probably why one specific clip hit the audience so hard later. Midway through the night, Alysa joined a short stage segment honoring influential young stars and public figures. When she was introduced to massive applause, cameras caught her father wiping his eyes. He was quick, like he didn't want any attention. But unfortunately for him, those cameras caught every single second. Once that clip hit social media, the reaction was massive. Parents everywhere shared it, and athletes flooded the comments with support. Even celebrities chimed in. One former Olympian wrote that his look represented every parent who sacrificed quietly to keep their child's dreams alive. Another star commented that you could practically feel the deep history behind that one moment. And that was the whole point. People weren't just reacting to a single night out. They were reacting to years of early mornings, crushing pressure, and uncertainty, years of believing in someone before the rest of the world caught on. That heavy emotional history made Gala Night 2026 feel so much bigger than a typical celebrity event. For Alysa, it looked like a powerful full-circle moment unfolding right before the public eye. Then, another story from inside the venue started making the rounds. Attendees say Alysa and her dad stepped away from the crowded ballroom later that evening to find a quiet hallway. One guest happened to overhear their conversation. Apparently, her father told her she had handled everything beautifully. Simple words, but Alyssa's reply made everyone emotional once it eventually leaked online. She reportedly said she learned how to stay calm from watching him. That exchange went viral as the story deepened. For years, the public focused on Alysa Liu as the athlete, the competitor, and the star. But Gala Night showed people something rare, the place where all that emotional strength probably came from in the first place. Honestly, fans started seeing her in a new light after that. Not weaker, just more human. One post nailed it. You can tell she didn't just inherit raw talent, she inherited her emotional stability. That observation sparked a massive online debate about parenting and young fame. Especially since Alyssa's path was so difficult. People often forget how intense those expectations were when she first exploded into the public spotlight. Those child prodigy stories sound glamorous from the outside, but the internal pressure is often absolutely crushing. Every performance feeds into a narrative others build around you, and surviving that mentally is incredibly tough. That is why seeing Alysa so grounded at Gala Night surprised so many people. She didn't seem desperate for approval or even intimidated. She just looked present. Many viewers linked that confidence directly to the relationship they witnessed with her father throughout the evening. By the end of the gala, entertainment outlets had totally shifted the focus of their coverage. What began as fashion reporting turned into a deep story about family support and sacrifice. Even the headlines changed. Instead of just discussing her outfit, articles focused on her father's reactions, their bond, and the emotional weight of the night. One headline simply read that the proudest person at Gala Night was not on stage. Another said that Alysa Liu's father had quietly become the heart of the entire event. Honestly, those headlines weren't exaggerating. By the time it ended, people weren't just talking about the glamour anymore. They were talking about love, the quiet, loyal kind that survives long before any cameras ever show up. As Alysa prepared to leave the gala that night, one final interaction became the most unforgettable moment of all. By the time Gala Night 2026 started winding down, most celebrities were already making their exits. Publicists moved quickly through the halls while security teams reorganized their routes. Luxury cars lined up under the flashing lights as reporters waited for one last scoop before the night ended. But inside, Alysa Liu and her dad were still talking quietly in a side corridor, far from the crowd. Strangely enough, that became the specific moment people would remember more than anything else. Not the fashion, not the celebrity guest list or even the red carpet, just a father and daughter together after a night they will never forget. People still inside the ballroom area say that Alysa looked completely different by the time the event ended. Not exactly exhausted, but more reflective, like the emotional weight of the night was finally catching up once the cameras moved away. Her father reportedly stayed calm the whole time, smiling and watching her with that same proud look people saw on the red carpet. One staff member later shared a specific detail that spread rapidly across the internet the following morning. Word went around that Alyssa's dad spent the night tucked away, showing old snapshots of her to guests at the gala. Childhood skating photos, training clips, and private family memories. Rumor has it, he kept repeating one simple phrase over and over while flipping through them. She worked so hard for this. That detail absolutely wrecked the internet because suddenly the glitzy celebrity night was linked to years of struggle nobody had ever seen. Those lonely practice sessions, the sacrifices, the crushing pressure, the doubt, everything hidden behind her polished public image. And that's exactly why the internet stayed obsessed with this story. People weren't just reacting to another viral celebrity moment anymore. They were watching something universal. A parent seeing their child become who they always dreamed of being. As Alysa got ready to leave the venue, photographers swarmed the main exit, desperate for one last shot of the night. But something unexpected happened right before she left. Witnesses claim Alysa stopped in her tracks and turned back toward her father. Not because she had to, or because the cameras were watching. She just paused, reached out, and grabbed his hand. That single gesture changed everything. The room allegedly went silent for a heartbeat. It felt so real, nobody wanted to ruin the moment. When the video leaked online later that evening, millions of people felt the impact instantly. In an industry where everything feels manufactured, that interaction looked incredibly raw. No performance, no fake emotion, just pure gratitude. One viral comment put it best. You can become a star and still stay someone's little girl. That's the beauty of it. Another fan wrote, "He's holding the hand of the girl he once took to skating practice. Only now, the entire world knows her name." That comment racked up hundreds of thousands of likes in hours. Look, people love a success story, but they love an emotional truth like this even more. That's why Alysa Liu's gala night moment became way bigger than entertainment news. Beneath the designer gowns and flashing lights was something we rarely see anymore. Real, authentic family pride. As the pair finally walked out together, reporters started screaming questions, trying to catch one last viral soundbite for the news. One reporter shouted, "Alysa, what was the best part of tonight?" She didn't blink. She just said, "Seeing my dad happy." That response totally blew up online. It didn't sound scripted. It sounded immediate and instinctive, like she meant every word. And then came the moment that cemented the night into internet history. While photographers kept snapping away outside, Alyssa's father reportedly looked overwhelmed by the massive crowd one last time. According to people standing nearby, he whispered something to her that the microphones barely managed to pick up. He looked at her and said, "I am so proud of who you became." For a second, Alysa just looked at him. Then she hugged him. Not a fake celebrity squeeze for the cameras, a real, heavy hug. The kind where you just can't hide the emotion. And honestly, that's when the internet lost its mind. People weren't just watching a celebrity event anymore. They were watching years of love, sacrifice, and pride collide in one heartbeat. Within hours, clips of that hug flooded every single social platform. TikTok edits, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, and Twitter reposts. Everywhere you looked, people were sharing the same feeling. This made me call my parents. You can actually feel the love through the screen. That man looks like he's watching his whole life pay off. But the most powerful part was this. Alysa never seemed embarrassed by the emotional spotlight on her father. If anything, she leaned into it completely. During an interview later that night, a host joked that social media had basically crowned her dad as the unofficial star of Gala Night 2026. Alysa laughed and said, "Good, he deserves it." That line went viral instantly because it backed up everything the fans were feeling all night long. She wasn't trying to hide where she came from. She was honoring it, which is rare when you're at that level of fame. For the next 24 hours, the media couldn't stop talking about it. But what's interesting is how many ways people interpreted the impact. Some focused on family, others on gratitude, while some related to the pressure of raising a child prodigy. Others just saw a reminder that success is better when shared with the people who helped you build it. Even psychologists and sports commentators joined the global conversation online. One expert noted that moments like this hit hard because people are just sick of seeing perfection. Most celebrity cameos feel totally scripted, but Alysa and her dad accidentally made something raw, and that realness grabbed everyone by the heart. Another analyst pointed even deeper. They noted that the story went viral because people saw two wins at once. Alysa won in public, but her father won privately. That really resonated online since parents rarely get credit during big success stories. We worship the athletes and stars, while ignoring the people who carried the emotional load behind the scenes. But Gala Night 2026 changed things. For one night, millions stopped staring at the star and started noticing the parent standing there as more behind-the-scenes clips dropped over the next few days. Fans kept finding little things they missed at first, like the way her dad studied every interview, or how Alysa constantly looked for him in the huge crowd. The way they both seemed locked on each other rather than the Hollywood chaos around them, those tiny details made it feel human. Honestly, that is why this moment will outlast typical viral clips, because trends usually burn out and vanish fast. But emotional truth sticks with you, especially when it reflects our own lives, our own families, and our own personal sacrifices. One viral post put it simply: every parent watching this saw their own child making it, and every child remembered the person who stayed when nobody else was there. That alone is why everyone fell for Alysa Liu. It was never actually about Hollywood fame. It was about appreciation, about finally seeing someone look at the person who supported them and silently say, "You were a huge part of this." Maybe that is why her father became the heart of Gala Night 2026, without even trying to be. He did not want attention. He did not look for the bright lights. He just looked at his daughter with a pride so pure that millions felt it through their phones. You cannot fake that kind of love. In a world full of staged moments, that raw honesty stood out. Long after the gala party ended, long after the news cycles changed and the red carpet photos stopped trending, people will still remember one specific image above all else. A father standing in the background, watching his daughter like she was the single greatest thing he ever saw.